Well, 3 days ago, the Menendez brothers were granted a resentencing hearing for the murders of their parents 35 years ago. It starts tomorrow. The man opposing them, Los Angeles County DA Nathan Hochman. He's here, 30 seconds away. And then we kick back and chill with the one and only Will Arnett. It's Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by our friends at LA Golf. Hey, friends, we're live on TuneIn and YouTube. What a busy day. The Menendez brothers are sitting on the edge of their bunks right now. Tomorrow, the judge will hear arguments for a resentencing of their current sentence, life without the possibility of parole, for the 1989 shotgun murders of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. They've claimed that the killings were in self-defense after Lyle Menendez confronted their father about sexually abusing his younger brother. Thanks to Ryan Murphy's series Monsters and renewed fervor on TikTok from a whole new generation of sympathizers, fans, really, some high-profile supportive celebrities like Kim Kardashian, Eric and Lyle are hoping that the judge rules in their favor and they get the go-ahead for a resentencing. Then it goes up to the parole board. Then it goes to the governor's desk. The boys' defense attorney, Mark Garagos, and supporters cite their model citizenship behind bars, assistance to inmates with disabilities. They've completed college courses, a green space beautification project that they undertook. On a lighter note, they won the prison pickleball tournament. Weird, but true. I guess they're playing a lot of pickleball. But who stands in their way at this point? The new Los Angeles DA, Nathan Hochman. He has a list of 16 demands that the boys need to meet before he could endorse the idea of them walking, chiefly that this account of theirs that they killed their parents in self-defense. He says that's a lie. The murders were premeditated. And right now we welcome the man of the hour, DA Nathan Hochman. Right now, you got a lot on your schedule, Mr. District Attorney. Thank you so much for taking time for us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Let's start light. I know you had Mother's Day dinner last night. 2 different people texted me from the club where you were having dinner saying, you're not going to believe the legal power we have in the room. We got the Hochman table in one area of the room and Brian Friedman, the power lawyer of Baldoni and Blake Lively, but also represents 27 family members of Menendez in the same room. Did you say hello? Did you send something nice to the table?
Quite candidly, I didn't realize that he was in the room until well into the dinner. And at that point, it was Mother's Day, and I was focused on both my mother and my wife, mother to my children. So I decided not to spend any time with Brian Friedman.
Didn't send him any oysters, nothing. But anyway, have you met before? You know him. I mean, you guys know each other, I'm sure.
I have met him. And again, to the extent that the Menendez family, who I've met with for over 3 hours, I'm the first district attorney ever to have met with the Menendez family members. They're passionate. They have a perspective. They want the Menendez brothers out. And I appreciate that. Their attorney, Mr. Friedman, the only issues I have with him is when he goes ahead and he makes arguments that he knows are factually and legally inappropriate. He makes them in the press. Those arguments don't even show up in the written motions filed with the court. And even in a most recent written motion where they were trying to throw myself and the district attorney's office off the case, 4 of the 7 arguments that Mr. Friedman made didn't even make it into their motion. And when the judge finally pushed Garagos and said, are we going forward with your motion? He says, you know what, Judge? We're going to withdraw that motion.
Yep.
So again, if you want to argue the facts and the law, I'll argue them all day long, anywhere you'd like to argue them. If you want to engage in personal attacks, it's shameful for a defense attorney or a lawyer representing a family to reduce the very important debate into a bunch of scurrilous personal attacks.
Well, I'm gonna put a pin in the family for 1 second. Let's go to where we were last Friday. 3 days ago, you spoke yourself at Friday's oral arguments. Were you surprised that the judge granted a resentencing hearing for the brothers, or did you expect that this would happen?
We laid out for the judge the legal and factual arguments why the judge should allow the district attorney's office to withdraw its motion for resentencing. Now, separate and apart from the district attorney's motion, the judge had initiated his own motion for resentencing. We said that if you want to go forward on your motion, that's fine. But the prior motion filed by the prior DA left off like 75% of the key facts that show that right now the Menendez brothers are not ripe for resentencing. And the reason I say it that way is I'm not saying never. There may come a time when the Menendez brothers have unequivocally and sincerely admitted and come clean with all the lies, cover up, and deceit that they've engaged in for the last 30 years. When and if they do, they should be considered for resentencing. So what we say is not never, but not yet at this point.
All right. Well, first, will you be representing LA County in the courtroom tomorrow, or someone else doing that? Are you back in court, or someone else handling it?
There will be other lawyers. I will certainly be available if they need me to make any particular arguments.
All right. So you'll be in the room.
I'll either be in the room or I'll be working on a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
The other 180,000 cases that the DA's office deals with every year.
Okay. So you mentioned it, but your greatest objection is that there are 16 lies you say the brothers told 30 years ago that they haven't copped to, that they attempted to coerce ex-girlfriends and friends into giving false testimony, that they committed these murders out of self-defense. If they copped to all 16, would you then support resentencing, given the exemplary behavior and low risk to the public assessment they've received?
So two answers to that. Yeah, if they unequivocally and sincerely finally come clean, it would certainly be a huge factor that we would consider in deciding whether or not to either join the resentencing or not oppose it. But part of the problem now is that we got some new information that's come in. When Governor Newsom asked the parole board to do a new assessment of the Menendezes, they actually finished that assessment in the beginning of April, and we just got a copy of it. And sure enough, the Menendezes have gone from a risk rating of what's considered low to now moderate risk.
What
and
for?
What they focus on
what was
is
their
a
sin?
bunch of
What did they do behind bars that went from low to moderate?
Well, here's what they did. For instance, I'll focus first on Eric Menendez. Eric Menendez, in January of 2025, when you would think you'd be on your best behavior because you're about to potentially go through a resentencing hearing, goes ahead and engages in illegal actions in the prison. One of the things he did is he brought in an illegal cell phone. And the reason an illegal cell phone is actually a big deal in a prison is that if you make a phone call in the prison, that phone call is always recorded, and they tell you it's being recorded. When you bring in a burner phone like Eric Menendez did, all of a sudden that is not a recorded conversation. You can say or do whatever you want on that. And the prison,
But don't they have like Zoom time and things? Don't they get the FaceTime with people? I mean,
it's all recorded.
There's 4 levels of security in that prison, 4 being the watch out, super dangerous, and they're at 2, which is like, go play pickleball for an hour, you're fine. I think each one of them, shares a room with like 5 other people, and they have like Dodgers posters on the wall. It's kind of not really prison. It doesn't, it's not the scary part.
Well, I mean, again, your movement is limited, but here's the important part. These board-certified psychologists that looked at the Menendez's risk rating, if they were to get out into society, said that the deceit and lies and rule violations that they have engaged in, if in the last year, for instance, Eric Menendez was involved with others in purchasing drugs in the facility.
He was?
He actually counseled people on how to engage in tax fraud. Lyle Menendez also got involved with cell phone violations. And this is pending the resentencing hearing when they know they're trying to be on their best behavior.
Will any of that be on the table, or are we looking at, the biggest situation here is, again, you said 16 lies they haven't copped to. There were 20. Yes. They did cop the big 4 lies. Eric and Lyle, initially lied on the 911 call about just discovering their parents' bodies. We know that not to be the case. They've copped to that. Eric and Lyle lied to the police and friends and the media that their involvement in the murders, they had no involvement. They've copped to that. They lied to the police and family, suggesting that it was a mafia hit, that's what happened. They've copped to that. Eric lied when he said he was afraid that his parents would kill him because his father's homosexual lover warned him that he was in danger 2 days before the murders. That was a bunch of crap. He copped to that. So the main sin here of murdering their parents and creating this story in a panic, they have copped to. So that's really what's on the table here. Do we think after 35 years and 27 family members all saying Jose was a creep, let him out? I mean, we believe Jose was do you believe Jose was a creep? That his father was, Roy Rossello came out from Menudo, said he was sexually assaulted at 14 years old by Jose Menendez. And if you do that to a 14-year-old, that's pretty sick. Why not your own 14-year-old?
So Billy, let me back up and deal with the lies that we're talking about. When you talk about the Menendezes copying to certain lies, here's what basically happened. They went ahead and they bought shotguns 2 days before the murders happened. They had a pre-planned alibi as to what they were supposed to do during the time of the murders. When they committed the murders, they engaged in basically staging it like a mafia hit, shooting their dad through the back of the head, their mom at point blank range as she lay bleeding on the floor after they reloaded a shotgun, and then shooting them in the kneecaps afterward to make it look like a mafia hit. For the next 6 months, they did not admit to this. In fact, they told their family, their friends, the media, the police, that somebody had shot their parents. It was the mafia. It was a drug cartel. And but for tapes coming out that they had made to their own psychologist, they would never have admitted to what went on. So then what happened is they needed a new defense. The defense couldn't be just that they shot their parents. They basically came up with a defense that on the night of August 20th, they believed their mother and their father were going to shoot them, so they had to shoot them first. We have shown how that self-defense defense is a lie that they have perpetrated for the last 35 years and have never come clean with.
They definitely, look, most people think they would have, had they gotten away with it, they never would have come forward and said, you know what, wait a minute, actually we did. Yeah, but I propose this to you. Look, they lied out of the gate furiously, but any kid who's been sexually assaulted by a parent for years, and if it's true, allegedly that Eric from 8 to 18, is going to experience shame at overwhelming levels, not to mention be totally screwed up in the head. Is it your belief by any chance that they were never assaulted? Have you made up your mind that they were never assaulted by their father?
So I didn't have to make up my mind on that one way or the other, and I'll tell you why. When each of them testified at trial, they were asked, is the reason you shotgun your parents and murdered them because of the sexual abuse? Answer, no. Their attorney said the same thing. The reason they shotgunned their parents that night is that they believed their parents were going to kill them that night and they had to kill them first. That is the lie that they have perpetrated every day for the last 35 years. And we're saying if you want to finally get out, if you want to finally have a sentence which a jury came down on, and which was life without the possibility of parole, and now have a life with the possibility of parole sentence, we need you to exhibit full insights into your action, completely accept responsibility for not all the crimes you committed, but all the cover-up and the lies you told trying to justify those killings. Because until you do that, you have not shown that you are truly rehabilitated. If you're not truly rehabilitated, you continue to constitute a risk of danger to society. And if you need an example to see how this plays out, look at the case of Sirhan Sirhan, the killer of Robert F. Kennedy in 1968 in Los Angeles. He exhibited as many pro-parole factors as you could get. He was 77, in diminishing health. He had done all the rehab programs, all the education programs. He had the lowest risk score possible, lower than the Menendez's risk score. He had served 15 more years in prison than the Menendez's, and yet Governor Newsom reversed a grant of parole for Sirhan Sirhan, saying that because he had not completely shown insight into all his actions, he could not be trusted in society. And that's our point.
That's interesting because so many Kennedy family members were in support of Sirhan Sirhan getting out. He had tried 15 times. On the 16th time, the parole board recommends his release, and Newsom alone, like you said no. Would you, if you were governor, would you have overturned the parole board's recommendation, or would you have accepted it and let him go?
Well, if the standard is you need to show complete insight into your actions and that one factor can overcome a lot of the other factors, then Newsom basically followed the criteria in Sirhan's case. It'll be interesting to see what he does in the Menendez case if the case does reach his desk. It's already there for clemency, but it'll be interesting if it gets there through the resentencing process as well.
Listen, look, you are no doubt a well-learned man when it comes to the law, and you told people you were going to follow the law, and that's it. I get it. But let's get to that family for a second. 27 family members, all but one who I think has passed away since, support the boy's release. That's powerful. All these family members support them getting out. You seem unmoved. You are totally unmoved. Why doesn't it seem that, if they believe this to be true about Jose Menendez, that's enough?
Because, and again, I spent time trying to understand their perspective and then went back to the facts and the law of the case. They don't deal with the facts of how the Menendez brothers have lied and continue to lie about their self-defense, about the fact that they got one of the girlfriends to try, or did say in court that the mother was trying to poison them, that they got another girlfriend to say that the dad was a violent rapist. They've engaged in these.
Yeah, no, they tried everything. They tried everything to get out of it. I mean, you admit first you're going to go to the death penalty, life without parole. I mean, they're facing a mountain of course, they're going to lie. I keep thinking about the shame. I think the numbers of people that live in shame of sexual assault from childhood, no one admits that. It takes some people
Billy,
10, 15 years to admit that.
This is the most important point in that response to that argument. You can make an excuse for the Menendezes back in the 1990s when they were young men in their 20s, by the way, by the time trial showed up. They're in their 50s now.
Yep.
At this point in their life, the excuse that they're young guys, young stupid guys, doesn't work. If you want them back out in society, they have to own the mistakes that they made, all of them, not just part of them. And you cannot expect anyone to go ahead and disregard the fact that the Menendez brothers in their 50s still refuse to own the facts that they lied about in their 20s. They've had 30 years to reflect on it, and apparently that has not moved them to own these additional lies. And that's where the problems of risk come in. They without this full insight, full rehabilitation, they continue to constitute a risk of violence. And that's ultimately what those board-certified psychologists came down with.
Do you think that they are a risk to the public? If you were at a restaurant and Lyle and Eric were in there, would you be worried for your safety?
Again, the risk to society is bigger than the restaurant risk. The risk to society, again, is one that looks at the entire series of potential situations that the Menendez brothers can be in. Right now, they're in a highly structured environment, a prison environment, and they're still breaking the rules. So that's why those board-certified psychologists say if they're willing to break the rules in a highly structured environment.
But a cell phone and a shotgun are two very different things.
Well, again,
if I'm in there for 35 years, I'm going to try to get a cell phone in every time.
And again, if you're pending resentencing, when a judge is going to consider the first time you can get released in 35 years, and you're still willing to take that risk of doing something illegal in a prison on the eve of your resentencing, then you wouldn't qualify to get out yourself because you would show you still don't have that insight. But when and if you did adopt that insight and you would show it, not just to me, but the judge, the parole board, and the governor, then Billy Bush should get out of prison as well.
I don't know if anyone, there's some that wouldn't agree with that. But anyway, you grew up a mile from the brothers in Beverly Hills, right? Didn't you grow up around the same neighborhood?
I grew up in Beverly Hills. And again,
not
one of
far
the
from them, right?
Incredibly spurious arguments that were made about trying to get me off the case is that somehow I grew up in Beverly Hills and I went to the same high school years before the Menendez brothers went to that high school. The reason I say this is an absolute disgrace and desperate last-ditch attempt to try and get me off the case is that those arguments didn't even show up in the written recusal motion filed with the court. They were so meritless. So they play well for the media. They play well on a show like this, but they don't play well in
Well,
court.
I'm just
because in
interested in
court,
your.
you have to engage in facts and law.
I'm just interested in your recollection of the time because Beverly Hills, it has its own police department. It's a safe. I don't remember. I mean, the idea of all these beautiful homes, this very safe neighborhood, and all of a sudden everyone's talking. Oh my God! Did you hear Kitty and Jose Menendez got shot? It's the mafia. Oh my God! Everybody's talking. Word spreads like wildfire. It must have been absolute terror at that time for you and your parents. Do you recall the time? Do you recall what you were feeling then?
So it turns out at that exact time in 1989, the murder was August 20th of 1989. I was engaged in a overseas travel, sort of a post clerkship travel. So I wasn't as intensely involved in the environment that the Menendezes were creating because of the murders that happened in Beverly Hills. But as far as it being obviously a sensational
But your parents
case,
were
it
there.
certainly was.
I mean, talk to your parents on the phone. I'm sure you're traveling. They must have been horrified, right? They must have been like, holy, it's the mafia. We don't know what's going on. Before anyone has any information, it must have been true terror in a beautiful place like Beverly Hills.
Well, I think that's exactly what the Menendez brothers were hoping for by staging it like a mafia killing and then telling the police that the mafia were the ones that killed their parents. So it would completely throw the police off the scent of the Menendez brothers themselves and onto the mafia or a drug cartel.
You think it's unfair to say that, if you remember this happening to your beautiful neighborhood, there's no bee in your bonnet that you've held in there since 1989 because of what it did to the community?
Absolutely not. That's actually somewhat, again, if you know anything about the facts and law of recusal motions and when you can kick a district attorney or a lawyer for that matter off the case, this doesn't even get close, which is why they didn't even bother to put it in the written motion to the judge. And by the way, they then told the judge when the judge was about to rule to deny the motion, we withdraw the motion. So when I say that this was put out there 1,000% for the press, and not for the court, it is backed up by the fact of what actually happened in the court.
All right, well, I haven't heard it, but I just know that, I mean, your dad was a great tax lawyer, the great corporate tax lawyer, I believe, the great Bruce Hochman, a legend of the time, grew up in that area. Just remember connecting those dots. Now, Eric and Lyle could go free if they're granted clemency by Governor Newsom, right? I mean, this could be all off your plate in a blink. It could be in 10 minutes if he decided to do it. Have you spoken to the governor about his intentions to do this at any point?
I've not spoken to the governor. And by the way, the governor, from the day he entered office in 2019, every day, he could do it today, he could do it tomorrow, could have granted clemency. He has a unilateral constitutional power to do it. He doesn't need a hearing to do it. Mm-hmm. He has, certain criteria that are his criteria and his criteria alone, and it's not subject to appeal.
But if the judge grants resentencing, it goes to the parole board, which is like 3 people, right? It's just a handful of people on the parole board, right? And they say, okay.
The parole board is usually a 2-member parole board, and then if he brings it back to the main parole board, it's over 10 members.
This is a 1-2-1. So the judge says, okay, let's just play it out here. The judge says, let's grant them a resentencing. Bang, it goes to the one judge, sends it to the 2 parole board members. The 2 parole board members say, okay, let's resentence the brothers to time already served and let them out. Then it goes back to the 1, it goes to Newsom. Has he indicated that he will sign it if it comes to him? Do we know anything about what he might do at that point?
The only thing we know is that he asked the parole board to do this comprehensive risk assessment and to be ready to go through their own procedures.
Wasn't that a while ago? When is that? When do we get the results?
June 13th. It's all going to happen on June 13th.
June 13th. Okay, so if the resentencing over the next few days gets called, the parole board hears it when? How long would it take for them?
June 13th.
June 13th. So the earliest the boys would get out, the brothers get out, is at that point could be this summer, could be in June.
Yes, if it goes along the way you've described, and the governor, they get the grant of parole from the parole board, and the governor doesn't choose to deny, reverse, or modify it, they could most likely get out this summer.
So, I mean, after the resentencing, if it gets approved by the judge, then will you let it go after this? It's off your plate? Are you done with it?
Yeah, I mean, the district attorney's office still has a participation at the parole board level, but it's just that we're there to monitor the proceedings. If the parole board has any questions, we're certainly there to answer questions, but we play very, very little of an active role going forward.
All right. This is Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman. Your predecessor, George Gascon, recommended and filed for the resentencing hearing. He did this in October of 2024. At the time, he was 25 points behind you in the polls. You ended up crushing him. Was he throwing a Hail Mary based on the boys' sort of resurgent popularity thanks to like Ryan Murphy's series, Monsters, and like TikTok sympathy? Or did he really think this was a serious cause that he wanted to take up? What do you think? Politics?
If he thought it was a serious cause, he could have taken it up in February of 2024 rather than October 24th of 2024 when he was 25 points down and had no money in the bank, but wanted massive media attention, which is what he got by making the announcement at that point. In fact, he didn't even start working on the case till roughly October 1st. And as I experienced, to go through over 50,000 pages of transcripts, hundreds of hours of videotape testimony, thousands of pages of confidential prison files, and then speak to everyone certainly took me 3 months, and I was focused with a great team helping me. So yes, do I think that what he did was political? It was.
Yeah. Did you watch Monsters, by the way, the Ryan Murphy series?
I did not.
You didn't. So why do you think Eric and Lyle have resonated with people? I mean, especially this TikTok, the whole new generation, young kids are connecting to these guys. What do you think the reason is?
So I think that the reason is this case had everything in it. You know, it had murder. It had murder by sons against parents. It had allegations of sexual abuse. It had Beverly Hills. It had money. It had the Menendez brothers after they killed their parents buying Rolexes and fancy cars, sitting courtside at Madison Square Garden to watch the Knicks play. I mean, it literally had a little bit of everything. And what's interesting is that I view this as a positive development because we've got now a different generation, a younger generation interested in a criminal case. So what I hope is that they don't stop with the Menendez case. And this sparks their interest in the criminal justice system. And we see them getting interested in all the cases or a lot of the cases in the system, which will only make the system that much better.
Huh. I would be interested in, a bunch of psychologists to talk about how many people were sexually assaulted as kids, and whether they weren't, doesn't mean that sort of resonates with people, because I think there's so much shame connected to it that, here they are saying it, and if anyone experienced that kind of thing, it just touches a nerve. You may think
and I
it's
think
strategy,
that's actually another positive development for the Menendez case, to the extent that it gives confidence for any sexual assault survivor to come forward and go through the very difficult process of identifying the person who victimized them and coming forward to law enforcement to do so. Then the Menendez cases, again, served a very positive force in our society.
Nathan Hochman, the L.A. County District Attorney, I really appreciate your time, and I know you got a big one tomorrow. The resentencing begins. We'll see what happens. But before I let you go, for all the people who see these crazy car chases in Los Angeles, like we turn on the TV locally, and it's like some idiot is taking off down the highway again. The cops are chasing him. We all stop what we're doing. We watch. I don't know any other city that has this but Los Angeles. Then we see the cops apprehend them. They're on the ground. We never see these people again. What happens to those people?
So those people generally get arrested. They get booked. They most likely
They're endangering thousands of lives.
Oh, yes. We will seek to put those people in prison for as long as the punishment comports with their crime. And that's why you don't see them again very often. Very often it's not their first time doing it. And this is where the justice system kicks into action and tries to make the streets ultimately safe for everyone else.
Nathan Hochman, thank you so much. Our DA here in L.A. County. Thank you for your service to the city. Appreciate your
My
time,
pleasure.
too.
Thank you very much.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Appreciate it. Told you I'd have you out by 2:30. It just turned 30. That is on the nose. So, you know what I didn't mention is I met Nathan Hochman. The first time I ever met him in person was at a pickleball tournament, a charity pickleball tournament. I got to say, the DA is not bad at pickleball. And here's something crazy. The Menendez brothers actually won the prison facility pickleball tournament. That they just won it. So I don't know, like Hochman's good, they're good. Maybe at the end of it all, you know, I do the play-by-play on the tennis channel and we have a pickleball match between the two. I don't know if it'll end that way. But anyway, we're going to take just a pause for a second. Coming up, Will Arnett in studio. What a man. Just wrapped filming a movie with Bradley Cooper. I imagine someone very important in Will's life is jealous about this. He is a proud Canadian. His hockey team is doing everything they can right now. They're up by 1. What does he think of Canada ever becoming the 51st state? Can we buy Will Arnett? Will is here, but wait a minute. Before we do anything, Will's also a very nice golfer. Not as good as his friend Jason Bateman, who's regularly shooting in the 70s these days. We are sponsored by LA Golf, the most technologically advanced golf gear on the market. No more expectations, no more outdated conventions, just individuality. You'll be sinking putts all over the place with the Malibu XT putter. The driver's unbelievable. They got the best equipment. Will, there he is. Do you have any LA golf gear? I'm going to get you some.
You know, Titleist to me has a place in my heart. That's the gang that I'm affiliated with.
Oh, you're sponsored by them too?
Yeah.
Jesus, man. Look at those pipes. Don't get too close to that.
Here's the thing. I'm going to romance
Will
this.
Arnett.
I'm going to romance this microphone. Okay? Because there's so much shouting going. Can I just tell you something? What a thrill it is to be here because I love you.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
And then I come in here and it's insane. This is
Have you ever been out to Van Nuys where we are?
I've been to Van Nuys a couple of times. What I usually like to do is I like to have a recording studio as close as I can to an airport. That's like rule number 1 in show business. Find me an airport. That's where we're going to set up shop. Secondly, a couple things. This is like upscale Alex Jones in here. It's crazy. There's insanity. There's people in there. They're all in your cult or something. I don't know who everybody is, but they're gorgeous. And they're
Aren't they
nice
gorgeous?
People. They're beautiful people. Everybody's very nice. Thirdly, years ago, I'm watching television. I'm up to work early in the morning, and it's about 6 a.m., maybe 5:30, making a cup of coffee, and I hear sirens going off like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm living in Venice at the time, going bananas with the sirens and the helicopters and stuff. And it's close to me. I'm quite close to Venice Boulevard itself. I flip on the TV. I'm having my first coffee of the morning. Again, very early. And there's a car chase, a police chase right next to me. You ready for this? They go down Venice, take a right on Pacific, go all the way to, north to Pico, take a right at Pico, and then go just past 4th. They tuck into this little, right next to Santa Monica High School. The guy gets out of the car from the helicopter shot. He comes out of his car with his hand and he gets killed on live TV.
No.
First thing in the morning.
No, I never see that.
I saw the guy actually die, and then I had to go to work.
That's why they have gotten so now they have to cover everything. They're so afraid of that happening again. That was the moment you watched it?
It was traumatizing. I was like,
I thought you were going to say the guy ran right through my living room. He jumped over my kitchen counter and out through the back.
No, he just crumpled. They just lit this guy up. And then I was like, well, I guess I got to go to work. I just saw a human being die.
Oh, my God.
As a Canadian, I got to say, it was really tough.
As a Canadian, everything's tough now. I mean, how you Canadians doing up there? Other than your Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm sorry about the loss.
Now we're tied.
Is it tied 2-2? It's 2-2.
And you were kind enough to text me last night during the game to offer support.
I did.
Which I appreciated. They're tied 2-2. I'm very bullish on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I always have been.
Did you play any hockey as a kid?
I did.
Not
At the highest level. Not,
if you're a cool kid, which I'm sure you were, I'm sure people liked you a lot. You were in the cool crowd. I'm going to guess.
I was in every crowd.
Well, what if you didn't play hockey? Like, did you have to play hockey at least?
You know what? Truth be told, I played hockey, and then when I was about 13, I got I was a goaltender. I was a goalie. And I got...
Really?
Yeah, and I lost my spot as the starter. And I was like, F this. And I went and I joined. This is going to sound, now this is not relatable. So I just want to say this out. I don't know who's watching this show. I don't know what your demo is.
It's all about relatability, Will. You got everything needs
I
to
joined
be
the
relatable.
ski team. Okay. So,
Ski?
Yeah. But because
Yeah.
there were girls on the ski
Right.
team. Hockey was just a bunch of dudes. And I was like, look at these ding-dongs playing hockey.
Athletic, muscular,
And
yeah,
just,
beautiful.
Anyway.
Yeah, so you're a good skier. You ever do any curling? It's a Canadian sport. I think
I've curled, not enough. As a Canadian, not enough. It's a fantastic.
Thanks, Canada,
I
for
know.
the curling.
Do you watch it during the Olympics?
I do. I watch
Right.
everything during the Olympics,
It's
but I'll ingest
mesmerizing.
anything.
It's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
You know what I figured out about you, Billy? This is one of the things, and there's so many things I like about you. One of the things is I figured out you speak like you're from the 40s. Has anybody ever told you that? You talk like it's in the 1940s. I mean, if you just change some of your verbiage,
Listen, buddy. I mean,
and you go, listen, if this dame comes in here again, I'm going to bust this joint up, you know? If you started talking like that, nobody would be.
there's a little, you know what I'm saying? There's a little Regis sometimes we could jump
There is
into
some
Regis.
Reg in
You know what
there.
I'm saying?
There is some
Will Arnett is here, everybody. What a great guy. And for the young people, you don't know who Reg was. Very, very famous guy. Did talk show.
Here's the other thing I want to bring it up. I brought it up to you the other day.
Okay.
My dad, the great Jim Arnett,
Oh,
has written 2 books since COVID. He's retired many years. And the last book, and I think I told you this, the last book he did some deep dive on this character, the member of my family going back forever. He did a bunch of deep research on my mom's side. And he found out, he wrote this book called the Monmouth Manifesto, and it's all about sort of around the American Revolution. And my family were American back then.
really?
So when people say, I am Canadian, but also
Defectors.
originally American.
Huh.
And there was a guy at the center of this book called Richard Lippincott, of who your family are also descendants.
We're descendants of the Lippincotts?
We both are.
Really?
You and I
It's a name you got to say carefully.
are related.
We are?
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
Dick Lippincott.
His
name was
I'm
Rich.
not sure. I think
Listen,
I
I
need
don't
some
know what-
research
I
on
don't-
this.
I
We
don't
got a
know.
whole staff back there researching.
Listen, we got the hot mic. Let's get the hot mics research staff. Where's Mandel?
You know, that's interesting. I texted Mandel and I said, your native countryman is the one day Mandel. Oh, Mandel has responded.
I like this microphone.
I said,
right in my
terrible
face.
day for you not to be here. Your fellow countryman, Will Arnett, in studio. Ah, shit, he says. I love him. I don't know him, but he's brilliant. Tell him I'm a fan.
He's thinking of someone else, obviously.
No, it's Will Arnett.
Yes, okay.
Listen, you just got done filming a movie with Bradley Cooper.
I did.
Did you have to now don't take this the wrong way.
Okay.
You were a little fuller figured when you left. The last I saw
Again,
you before
I
you
just
took
want to
off.
point, don't take it the wrong way.
Don't take it the
Okay,
wrong way.
okay.
A little fuller figured.
Sure.
Did they say drop a couple for the role, or did you get a tapeworm, or what happened? Or did you do the shot, the fat shot?
Couple
As Trump says, the fat shot.
A couple things. Anytime somebody says no offense, get ready.
I'm going to offend you.
Get ready.
Yeah.
No, I decided last year. You know what? You're right. That's a very astute observation. I was like, you know
Well, it's
what?
when I hugged you is when I really felt it.
I'm beefy. Right?
Yeah.
I was beefy. And I'm in my 50s now. I'm not ashamed to. I just turned 55. And I thought, last year at this time, I was like, you know what? Once you get to this age, it's harder to, you can't eat like you're at a 12-year-old's
I know.
birthday party every day. You know what I mean?
I know, it sucks.
So I just decided to start watching and that's all I did. I didn't do anything else. Hand to God, I didn't take anything else. No, I just watched and I had a very sort of measured diet for it. I employed some discipline, and because I knew that I was going to do this role and I wanted to be a little different. That's why my hair is a little bit longer and I got a little scruffier. And
Do you work out, or is it? Could they say it's 80% food, 20%? Do you like? I see
Let
you
me
play
walk you
golf,
through.
but
Let me walk you through my workout regimen. Have you seen Rocky 3?
Yeah, I saw all of them.
So
Just had Dolph Lundgren on last week.
So
Love
just
him. Yeah,
I saw
That's
that
four.
he was on there.
Yeah.
Brilliant guy. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Imagine waist deep snow and rail ties. This is very unorthodox what I'm doing. I'm living very close
This
to the
is a
bone.
load of crap.
Okay. It's a lot.
Picture the rail ties.
Okay.
Okay.
It's cinder blocks It's stuff, and it's 4 a.m. I'm like one of these guys you see online who talk about, I have 5 days in a day. I wake up before I go to sleep, that whole thing. And that's me. And I'm cold plunge. I sleep in a cold plunge. You know what I mean?
Seated
my car
position.
is a sauna with wheels. So I get some. Let's be honest, it's the cigs.
It's you're on the supermodel diet of champagne and cigarettes,
I
except
am.
for you quit the champagne. Which
No champagne.
No champagne.
No champagne, but it's coffee and cigs and the occasional American champagne, Diet Coke. And then I'm good to go. But I do work out. I have a very robust cardiovascular program in place. I don't know.
Who do you like better, Bradley Cooper or Jason Bateman?
Bradley Cooper. Sorry, hang on. Let me think about it.
Bradley Cooper.
No,
No,
I love, I've been friends with both of them over 20 years.
Okay.
I love them both dearly. And I'm brother. You know what? It's like picking your brothers. They're both. I consider them both to be brothers, and it's a tough one.
So what was the movie you and Bradley you just finished filming? What was it?
We just wrapped. More to come on that. It's a film based on a true story.
Comedy?
It's sort of. It's about a guy who kind of delves into stand-up comedy. But it's really about a relationship that's falling apart, a marriage that's falling apart. True story.
Are you going to make me cry in this movie? There's nothing I love more than a really funny guy who does something to me like Steve Carell when he first. What was the movie that Carell was it Dan in Real Life or something where I was like, oh, yeah, the man I laugh at all the time or with is making me. Are you going to have a moment like that in this?
I don't know.
You have I can see you do it.
We'll see. We hope that it turns out well.
I see the hands moving like this. I don't know. Have you been watching too much television? I don't.
You got PTSD, my friend.
I think I thought something. I saw something.
Don't make me go. You do the voice first. You do it.
I'm not doing it.
Do the voice.
Oh, we're going to have plenty of time to do it.
Do you ever do it? Do you ever talk about it?
Absolutely.
You do.
Can't help it. There he is, everybody. Very great guy. Probably the most handsome guy. Will Arnett. Everybody loves Will.
I keep looking at your staff because they're great.
They're great. They're hanging on every word. Look at the guys. There they all are.
I want to include them. And so they're there. So I want to include them. So Billy and I were playing golf a couple of years ago, and we're teeing off, and he's standing over the ball. Just that quiet moment he's about to hit, and I go, so you still talk to Trump? Really caught him off guard.
The voice, Will. The voice is, you've had consistent voice work since like 20s, right?
Yes.
Voice of GMC trucks for how long?
That's coming up. Let me do the math on that. This year, what are we, 2025? This year, it'll be 27 years.
27? You get in the 90s, you get this gig?
Yeah.
And they don't fire you? They stick with you for that? You didn't do anything to get fired?
No.
Did you just get deeper and deeper, I bet? You weren't this deep 27 years ago.
No, it was raspy, but probably not as deep. But there were, I don't know. I kind of had this voice all of a sudden when I was about, sort of 14. It kind of, not as deep, but it had that sort of, whatever that call it, and so I started in the end of '98 with the folks at GMC Trucks.
Now, did you have this voice like when you were like when you were in 6th grade, where you're like, "Hey, teach, I need to."
Not exactly like this, but I will say that it did hurt me when I was like in my 20s because I had such a baby face, so I looked, and then I had this voice. It would kind of hurt me,
It's a beautiful voice.
Goddamn paparazzi. They're everywhere.
I know. I got paparazzi in studio.
I'm getting popped. I'm getting popped in the studio.
Yeah, come on. Get a good shot. Don't just get him from the side. Work him right here. He's a sitting duck. He can't move. You can just keep taking shots of him.
By the way, I pull up and your staff, and they're recording me as I come in the door. I'm not ready.
We've never had a celebrity of your size on the program. This is big.
That's not true.
This is a massive booking. I'm going to say it.
I texted Billy.
Will
I'm like, you want me to drive
studio.
out to Van Nuys? I mean, this is how much I love you.
Oh, I owe you. Whatever it is, I owe you. You drove a long way
No, you did drive
in that very nice car of yours.
Yeah, and by the way,
GMC, I assume.
Of course, obviously.
Right.
It's a GMC Yukon XL.
How funny is it that Bateman, your brohim, I don't know if he still is, but I think the voice of like
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Yeah.
You must love that.
Yeah, I do love it.
I'll do the trucks and the manly stuff. You take the Hyundai.
I said to, and then John Hamm does Mercedes. And last
he
summer,
does a nice job with that.
He does by the way, He does a great. Both of those guys do a great job.
Great little series he's doing.
He does
Your
a
Friends
great
and Neighbors.
Friends and Neighbors. He's fantastic. I love him. And so I saw him last summer, and he said we were talking about VO, and he says, yeah. He goes, well, I've been doing Mercedes, over 13 years. I said, that's cute.
It's cute.
That's cute.
It's nice for you.
That's nice.
Try doubling that.
But he is great at it, isn't he?
Boy, I really want to ask you how much money you've made on just GMC, but it's really tacky.
Yeah, I know. Thank God you never asked.
I'm not going to do it.
I know.
I'm going to wonder.
I know.
But it's it might be north of like $30 million. It's probably way over that. Holy crap. It didn't start that way.
Should we get my accountant on the line?
Yeah. Why not? I'd love to know where everything is. I'd like to know how much is in, what do you guys use up there?
We use dollars. First of all, what are you guys?
Mule bucks? What are you mule?
Listen,
moose bucks?
This is how you talk to your family?
Sorry. Oh, my God.
Cousins.
Dear Brother Lippincott.
Calling for Dick Lippincott. If you heard that at the airport.
You made that up.
I didn't make it up. That's a true story. Wait, what were we going to say?
Well, I mean, you've made a lot of money, and I'm going to speak to your accountant later, but
sure.
A 27-year gig doing voiceovers, and then Lego Movie, your Lego Batman,
Hershey's,
BoJack Horseman, which was one of the great. I mean, how you sold that or how that got sold, I don't know. That's what a run there.
That was an interesting one. BoJack, Raphael Bob Waxberg is the guy who created it. Incredible guy, brilliant.
What's his
guy.
family makeup? Raphael Bob Waxberg.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
He's got a little of everything going on.
It's a hell of a handle, and you either don't forget it or you completely forget it. But he's a brilliant guy, and he had this thing that he wanted to do, and we made a 13-minute pilot presentation with all the people who are still in the show, most of them, and everybody said no. And Ted Sarandos, to his credit, we sent it to Ted,
who runs Netflix.
Sorry, I thought this just went out to Hollywood.
I'll handle the outside baseball.
Okay.
You handle the inside.
Okay, so. Ted Sarandos called me and he said, I love this thing. And
he called me.
He called, yeah. Well, we were friends. At the time, we are friends. At the time, Arrested Development was just starting one of their first original shows. And Netflix was just getting into the original programming. And so I got to know Ted. He lived around the corner from me, and I got to know him. And he's a heck of a great guy, and watched Netflix.
So you knew him before he took over Netflix?
No, I knew him. No, he was at Netflix.
Or did you time your getting to know him that well?
Right as it was just starting to grow, and as they were just starting to make original programming, is when we started doing Arrested Development over there, the resurgence. And then I did another show with him. I did a show called Flake that I created, and then we did BoJack Horseman, which he, had the vision. He's one of those guys who goes, I just like that show. And he didn't think about whether it was commercially appealing or whatever. He said, I just like it. I think it's really funny and interesting. And he allowed Raphael to do what he did best. And if you watch that show, I mean, it's got staying power. It's a real testament that the writing on that show is phenomenal. I'm just a vessel for the writing. All of us were for the writing of Raphael Bob Waxberg.
And you do all this voiceover stuff, and you must have a little studio at home where you do SMARTLESS and you do the
No,
GMC,
I could have done this. I could have done this.
You actually, we should have just had you at home.
I could have been at home.
But you're here. What a great guy.
But you know what I'm going to do
I'm
is
touched.
from now on, every once in a while, we'll just check in from the booth. We'll do a segment on hot mics where we just check in.
Get that mic of yours hot.
I get the mic hot. And I'll probably be...
They don't have to be here to be hot.
Okay.
And then that's a good idea.
I like this a lot.
Who is, when I look at your career, I had a guy in here, an actor recently, and he told me a great story about that he was like, there was another actor.
An actor in here, he told me a great story. Could you ever tell me a great story?
Would you mind doing that? He said he was like, he went to college with John Krasinski.
Yeah.
David Walton is the actor. And he said... He went to college, and like Krasinski, then they were both in the theater together, the whole thing. But then Walton hit it before Krasinski, and Krasinski's like, the line went cold, and our friendship, that's it. They would go on like spring break together. And then, then Krasinski gets the office, and Walton's rolling, and he's like, buddy, I'm so happy for you. Nothing. And then Krasinski gets huge. Now he's big, and Walton admitted, I had this thing where I was like, fuck, Krasinski, damn it. Do you have a Krasinski, someone that you came up with in the biz that you were competitive with, and literally if they won, you kind of lost a little?
Krasinski. No.
For Krasinski?
No, I love.
Were you always the guy that
he's an
rooted
old
for your
friend.
friends, or did you have like a shit? Why is he winning and not me?
No, I did. I always did. I never saw it as a zero-sum game. I always knew that I was never in competition with anybody else, and I think that for me that just worked. You know, all the people who become your friend. People say, "Oh, you know, actors are all friends with each other. They all date each other." Those are the people that you spend your time with. Those are the people you're working with.
Yeah, sure.
So that's it. And you know, I never saw anybody else's success as, you know, dimming my light ever. And it just made me think like, oh, there's more out there, you know? And I just the way it always was. I always rooted for my friends. I've had a lot of friends in, you know, Bradley is a great example of a guy who always super talented. And I
remember he was on like Hell's Kitchen or something, a Fox television show.
No, he was in a kitchen. Kitchen Confidential.
Kitchen Confidential was him? Okay.
Yeah, he was. Is that what it was? Yeah, Kitchen Confidential. That was the name of the show. He was the star of that. He had a couple shows. He was on
Canceled
Alias.
quickly, though.
He was on Alias before that.
Right.
And then he did that, and he did a bunch of things. But he was a super talented guy, and watched him, and he got, you know, he finally got the right roles that he was able to kind of go to that thing. And I'm like, this is fantastic. He deserves it.
Yeah.
You know,
Jason.
Jason doesn't deserve it.
No, he does deserve it.
He does.
He told me a great story. Maybe you can resonate now here. I'm going to come at you from another angle through another actor. Bateman told me a great story. He said
That's surprising.
He said before arrest, like nothing was going well.
Yeah.
Like he was partying too much. He was like a party animal and and that probably had something to do with it. But he said he was up for the role of the Verizon guy, the guy with the glasses.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
They were going to go either with that guy or they were going to go with, you know, a slightly well-known at the time guy, and it was either him. And he lost to that guy, and he's like, that's it. I can't even get the Verizon Can You Hear Me Now gig.
Yeah.
Like, this is... And then he was like almost about to give up. Did you ever get to a moment where you're like, this sucks, I suck, I'm out?
Yes, I did. I had... the year before, so I did a pilot. I did a bunch of pilots. I did a show that 2 episodes aired, then they canceled. And then I did a pilot and a pilot and a pilot. And I did a pilot for a show, and it got picked up to series. And I thought, great, this is great. It's going to be a great job. I was living in New York. My wife at the time was on SNL, Amy. And I thought, but now I got a great job. And it goes to series, and they go, hate to break it to you, you're not coming to series with us. We're writing that part out. You're out. And I was fired. And I took it really hard. Wow. And I was bummed.
Like the show's going forward. Everything's going forward. The only thing we're changing
is you.
Is me.
And so the show, and it was, you know, at the time it was like, and at the time I was 32. And I thought, you know what? I've been living in New York 12 years. Just couldn't get that thing, couldn't get over the hump. And I just thought, you know, screw it. And I eventually started rehearsal. This guy was doing a play in New York, off-Broadway play, and I said I agreed to do it with this director I'd worked with before. And I just said to my people at the time, I'm done with TV. I'm done with Los Angeles. I was living in New York. I'm just going to do theater and do the voiceover on the side.
I'm going to wear a black turtleneck the rest of my life, smoke cigarettes and espresso.
That's exactly right.
And be a thespian.
And that's it. And then I get a call. They said there's a script that they're casting this show, and I said, "Well, I'm not interested." I said, they didn't offer it to me, but they said you should read. And I should say this: the woman who cast the pilot the year before that I got fired from, she wrote me a letter, Deb Barilski, and I've mentioned her before because she really this is a really good, and you don't have a lot of these moments in our business. And she wrote me actually wrote me a letter mailed to my house saying, and she'd cast me in the show. She said, I thought it was really, you know, bullshit that they fired you from the thing, blah, blah, blah. I think you're great. Don't let it get you down too much. I think you're a talented kid, blah, blah, blah. All this sort of stuff. You're a great guy. And it really meant a lot to me to get that letter.
So you checked the envelope to make sure that it was addressed to you. And once you realized, oh my God, it's
I'm
me.
I'm the good guy, yeah. And so she says that, I thought, wow, this is what a nice, kind thing. 6-8 months later, she's the one casting this show. She calls my agent, says, well, Will come in and read for this. He's put himself on tape in New York. And I said, no, I'm doing it. And eventually, she said, it's a show, Arrested Development. He would be great. Finally, one day I go and I take the subway uptown. I put myself on tape. I don't think about it. The next day they call and they want to fly you to California to test for the show for Arrested Development. And I was like, huh, okay. And I did, and I went out and I got it. And I tell you a couple things, and I've learned this a lot. Again, I mentioned that I'm 55, and I'm doing it because I'm fishing for compliments. But the other thing I'm trying to do is to say that my experience has taught me that, and it is so true, and you hear it, and it sounds woo-woo, and it sounds kind of BS-y. It's true. You never know when one door shuts that another one's opening, and you have to. That's faith, right? That's what we call faith. And I couldn't have known that if I hadn't been fired from that show the year before, I wouldn't have been available to do Arrested Development. It was the best thing that ever could have happened to me in my life was getting fired that year. It was the single best professional thing to happen was not getting hired on Arrested, was being fired from Still Standing.
And Barilski? Deb Barilski? Deb Barilski wouldn't have owed you one. And she owed you one. You don't have a Krasinski. You have a Barilski.
I got a Barilski.
That's even better than a Krasinski.
You're right. Way better.
You have a Barilski, and so she had a feeling about you. You go out, but that's what Bateman said. It's the same show. Arrested Development for him was he was like, I lost the can you hear me now thing. I'm washed up. I'm done. I'm never gonna make it. Then he gets arrested. So you both have the same launching point.
That's right. And obviously he'd had a much bigger career before, as a kid, and we all knew who he was, and he'd been bothering us for years. But he had but we both came into it at the same point at the same age of that feeling of like sort of defeated. And we do this show, and we met at that time, and he and I were instantly best friends. And I think that we appreciated it. We appreciated how good the writing was, and how lucky we were to be there working on this show. And there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't drive through that gate at the Fox lot and put my card on the thing for the thing to go up that I didn't appreciate. I'm not joking. I'm a pretty cynical guy half the time, or I'm joking, pretending to be cynical. I appreciated it every single day.
And you still do?
Yeah, absolutely, I still do.
With all the money and houses and everything?
Yeah, I don't even know how many houses.
So many houses. Do you keep anything up in Canada just to keep it real?
I keep a little something.
Ski lodge?
Just a little something.
Something. You gotta have something up there.
I don't. I mentioned this like
you should have like a maple
shameless
syrup farm or something that you just stay connected. There's some great Canadians.
I'm part of a pub. My friend Jamie Kerr runs a pub up there in Toronto. I was just talking about today on our podcast. I do a podcast called.
What's it called? Dumb.
And on the SMARTLESS podcast I talked about today, we have
a very big podcast.
Yeah, with Sean Hayes and Jason Bateman, and. I was talking about the pub is called the Queen and Beaver. It's a gastro pub in Toronto.
The Queen and Beaver?
The Queen and Beaver.
You're not going to get me to giggle.
It's a great
I've grown
name.
up a lot.
It's a great name.
Yeah, not going to giggle.
The Beaver's the Canadian.
What's so funny
animal?
about the Queen?
I don't know.
Nothing.
No.
What's the other part? The Queen? What?
The Queen and Beaver.
Queen and Beaver. Who named it that and why?
Jamie Kerr, my partner,
names
is a
it?
brilliant guy. So I do have that. I have connections, and I obviously have the Toronto Maple Leafs. My family's all up there and stuff, yeah.
Your dad, you mentioned before,
Yeah.
I mean, a hero of mine.
Yeah.
He was the CEO of Molson Beer.
He was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just had a lot of free beer around, I bet.
Unlimited.
Oh, your friends must have loved that.
Yeah.
When is the you've fallen off the wagon before, right?
Okay. Well, wait. What do we?
Are you done? They're like.
Yeah, it's just not.
It's
for
clearly
me.
working well for you
It's
not
just-
to drink.
It's just not for me. It's just not for me.
Who helped you with that? Who
didn't?
Really?
Who didn't?
Were there people that said, "Will, you're drinking too much. You gotta."
Yeah, of course. I listen, man. I owe so much to so many people. I have so many. Here's all joking aside about the sort of the stuff that comes with it, and you've been around a long time, and and you come from a dynastic family yourself.
Yeah, huge.
Right? Is that huge?
Huge.
Huge.
You want huge? I'll show you huge. Okay. Not one, but two. Okay.
Is that that's true?
Yeah. You
Not
have
one,
one,
two.
two. Okay.
Yeah. So is that I'm really rich with great friends. I have so many great friends. It's true, and it sounds.
Oh, I thought you said I'm really rich, with also great friends.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I have such an incredible group and base of friends. A lot of lifelong friends, people who I've been friends with a long time, and who help you keep your feet on the ground. And as much half the time I'm doing bits and I'm. is that to me is the great marker. And I have so many people who, over the years I've been able to rely on and lean on and stuff. Man, I honestly am the luckiest guy in the world.
I'll tell you, you got it. What you also have is what I have. We're two guys that have a very similar situation. Excellent relationships with our ex-wives.
That's true.
With whom we share children.
Yeah.
We get my ex-wife Sydney and I. We have Thanksgiving together. We have Christmas with the kids, and everything's great. And I understand you call you said Amy today.
Yeah.
But most of the time you call her Polar. And when you call her Polar, I say it's probably that you were better off as friends. I mean, when your last name, your wife, hey, Polar.
I mean, I'm not alone in that. A lot of people call her Polar.
Yeah.
She doesn't call me Arnett.
No. What does she call you?
Not often.
It's me that calls.
No, Tina calls me Arnett. But Amy calls me Will. I'm really, really lucky. You're right. I like you. I'm very, very lucky that
we're in a very small percentage, I think.
I agree.
I really, most of these situations are bitter. And geez, if you can, if you say it's about the kids, well, then make it about, and then there's probably something you liked about each other if you were going to go have them in the first place.
100%.
Find that.
Yeah, 100%. No, she's a great person, super smart, super funny, great mom.
You know what I love about Amy Poehler?
Tell me.
She stays in the joke. I'll never forget, was it the Golden Globes or something where she was like playing Michael J. Fox's nephew? And it was like she was standing there and she was like at the Golden Globes, they always have somebody's kid is the award person. Right. And she was like, I'm Michael J. Fox's, son or something, or nephew. And she hung in this joke as a little kid.
Committed.
And by the way, it was like, I don't know if this is working. She never broke. She held. And then all of a sudden it became funny, then very funny, then laugh out loud. Many people would have crumbled and bailed.
Oh, her commitment is legendary, world class. I mean, she's one of the all-time greats. Let's be honest.
Have you done stand-up much? Do you?
Well, I started doing stand-up for this film. I started going to practice for this part of this guy who does stand-up, and so
for the Cooper film you did with Bradley.
Yeah. So I started in January. Because we shot in New York, and I started going to the Comedy Cellar every night going up a couple times a night for the first time in my life. And doing stand-up.
That must have been horrifying.
Yeah, it was like jumping off a cliff every night. And, stand-up is...
But did you work... So you had to go write a routine.
Yeah,
did you have, stand-up friends who helped you write a routine?
Yeah, I did. And, Bradley and I wrote this film with this guy, Mark Chappell. And so we wrote a lot of the stand-up for my character. And then our friend Bob Castrone, who's a brilliant writer, who writes a lot for Nikki Glaser, amongst other people. Ooh. Bob came and helped us, and we wrote stand-up. But, I'm writing for me, but I'm really writing for this character. So it was an interesting exercise. And then I'd go up and get introduced as this character.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would just think that I can do a television show for millions. I cannot in front of a room like that. You know why? Because their expectation is we're here. You have to make us laugh. There's an expectation. If you do it at a table, sitting with a bunch of guys on a patio, no expectations. These people just paid money.
You're talking about a golf club.
I mean, wherever. Some place where I might play golf with you. I don't know.
But it is true. I do think this. I do think that you could be a stand-up. If you sat down, you wrote jokes, you're a very funny guy. You're one of the most naturally funny people that I know. I truly mean that. It's off the cuff. It's off the cuff, and it's phenomenal. It's very funny. Your timing is excellent, and you do understand how to read a room. So I do think that you could do it if you could write material. Part of it is, the truth is, the other half is writing really good jokes. And when you realize that these stand-ups are writing this incredible material, it's really impressive. I just did this gig up in Toronto, this charity gig for this hospital. Oh, you guys don't do applause?
Oh,
for
charity. Oh, what a wonderful man.
So...
Here they thought you were just some self-absorbed asshole.
No,
you're not.
No, I was good at it. No, it's
Gervais. Oh my
God. No. I did this charity, and then and we got Sebastian Maniscalco kindly came up and did an hour.
Wow.
In this thing, and watching him work the crowd and do this, and so polished and so fantastic. And I got to see a lot of these other stand-ups. Shane Gillis was really kind to me in this process, and he gave me some time. We went down to Austin. We did it. We performed at Joe Rogan's club down there, and I met with all these incredible stand-ups and talked to them, and it was just amazing. And watching them go and do the clubs too, Billy Burr, all these guys, Amy Schumer,
They've all had their teeth kicked in. They know how to do this.
Yeah,
They're comfortable.
Watching them
that's the last frontier.
work on their jokes and work on their material and work it out, really impressive stuff.
I love that. Do you have to pick up the kids or anything? Or
No. They're fine.
They're fine, right?
Yeah, I mean,
fine. Get an Uber.
No, I do. I'm going to drive over. I got to drive over. Luckily, I'm in the valley. I'm going to drive over and pick up the kids.
All right. Well, I mean, if you have to go right now, we're going to take a little break. We come back. We got some wild stuff that we're going to run with here.
Really? So
well,
more Menendez,
you know who?
Menendez stuff? You guys did an hour on the Menendez brothers.
We've got...
Jesus. Did you solve it yet?
That's a big one. Are you following that?
Is this show called Cold Case? What's going on?
Wait till you see what's happened. Like I've got some. You wouldn't believe what's going on. There's some.
What's happening?
Trump is going crazy. He's taking a free plane.
I saw the plane.
He's got. They're all lining up to say the greatest things about him. He's ragging on a friend of his who took a fat shot and it didn't work. He's too fat, and it's all live and it's all loose, and we're back in 30.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA Golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left.
Anybody hungry?
So does he work here?
Work here? He lives here.
Thank you. You should see my calves, Will Arnett. They're the best. By the way, we're back live, but let me see yours.
What do you think?
Solid. Definitely not mine, but you got height.
And I got good ankles.
Listen, God's fair. Remember that. God is fair. He doesn't give you everything. The guy's rich. He's handsome. He's tall. He's got an incredible voice. Can't have the best calves in the world. Hot mics, hot takes. Can anyone? We welcome Rob Silverstein in here right now. Can anyone top Pam Bondi as the president's greatest ass kisser? We have 2 more candidates lined up to try to knock her off the pedestal.
Right,
it's
Bill,
unbelievable.
We're moving ahead here. So we're going to get to Blake Baldoni and Taylor Swift in a minute, but let's start with this. Okay, so control room should be ready. Pam Bondi is the biggest ass kisser we've ever met in our life. There's no question about it.
To her, but to be fair, it's part of the job. If you were anyone who works for the Don, for the president, must kiss that ass.
There's
with
no question
passion,
about it.
with it.
Okay,
Unrivaled passion.
We have 2 candidates who are trying to dethrone her. Let's begin with the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick.
All right, Lutnick, fire away. What do you got?
If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left. And if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister and getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done because he understands business. He understands deals. And that's why we're here today. So
he's just in it. Don's going like that.
Bill, that's some serious ass kissing there. There's
That
no
is
question
the
about it.
former CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald right there, humiliating himself. 0 dignity left on Lutnick. He walks out. He is... How did I do? Trump's looking at him. You're pathetic, but I love it. Keep going.
Well, all right. So, Bill, after the Don signed the executive order lowering drug prices, which everyone is thrilled about, it appears, okay, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., was...
Don't do it. You're a Kennedy. Don't do it.
He was effusive in his praise of the Don.
Oh, no.
There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude.
Crude.
It would have been crude if you said intesticle fortitude.
And your willingness to stand up for the American people.
Trump is like, I don't want to be crude. He's like, did he say intesticle?
Nothing crude about
that. Did he say intesticle or did he say intestinal? I can't remember. What did he say? It's probably... But either way, I don't know. I will say this. That wasn't as bad as Lutnick.
I agree.
And Lutnick, he got awfully close to Pam Bondi, but Pam Bondi still remains top of the leaderboard.
Bill, eventually I'm going to bring up some of the Mike Pence ones when he would stand there.
Oh, and Mike Pence he's self-loathing right now. He's making up for law. I mean, he can't believe the things he used to say were brutal.
Right, especially a man like Mike Pence.
A great man of character. This is like a guy who went to Christian, band
absolutely.
camp. Yeah.
All right. But the Don, we're going to keep with the Don here because there's just too much good stuff.
He's got great stuff.
He was in rare form today explaining why he signed that executive order.
I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. Highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy.
Rough guy.
Very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
The fat shot.
The fat shot. Anyone else calls
It's
it the
not
fat
working.
shot, they get ripped apart.
I can see him on the phone going, yeah, it's not working.
Not working.
He's
Right.
the guy.
He just has to throw that in, by the way. It's just part of his whole thing. He has to throw it. It's not working.
Hey, Bill and Rob. Just let me do this. I did this the other day. I just love this too much. We were talking about Bondi. Let's just roll tape of her in action. It's too good.
Oh, you want to see the queen of all? All right, here she goes.
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country. Ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think
it's just too good.
I think Lutnick got close. He sniffed the top of the
He didn't get
leaderboard.
there. He hasn't gotten there yet.
He didn't get there.
All right. Now, Bill, the Don is facing some major blowback today. He accepted, the $400 million 747, which is going to eventually...
A luxury 747 from the Qatari royal family.
This isn't the kind of 747 that we might fly in. This is a souped-up 747, $400 million, probably more. The Qatari royal family, as you did it. No strings attached, allegedly. Come on.
Gift to a new Air Force One.
So there's some detractors, and the Don has a message for them.
Okay.
Giving us a free jet, I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or $400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. There was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear of him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer. And he had a motto: when they give you a putt, you say, thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say, no, I insist on putting it. Then they putt it and they miss it. And their partner gets angry at them.
He makes a good point there. I will say that. There's nothing worse than when you give a guy a putt and you say, you know what, that's good. And then they putt it anyway. At that point, if they putt it anyway and they miss, I'm sorry.
You're back in the game.
You're back in the game?
Absolutely.
Your 4 is now a 5.
You pick the ball up and you walk away. The Don is right about that.
But Don, let us not diminish a $400 million 747 luxury airplane to a putt.
Bill, no president's ever received a gift like this.
And the whole thing is that it's a gift, but then it's a gift to the presidential library. So when it's over, it actually remains with the Don. Here's the thing. Trump to me is so comical. As you know, I have much experience laughing hysterically at the crazy stuff he says. And it is so unbelievably entertaining. But it kills me. But underneath it all, this is serious problems what's happening. Trump is leaning into his crypto meme coin business like you wouldn't believe. There's a private dinner at Mar-a-Lago or one of his golf clubs for the top 200 coin holders of Trump coin. The top 200, May 22nd, get to have dinner with the Don. Then a private White House tour for the top 25 holders. What is it for the top 5? Keys to the Defense Department? I mean, the top holders now are all foreign investors. It's this Justin Sun guy from China. It's, Myanmar and Hong Kong and all these crypto guys. It's illegal for foreigners to donate to presidential campaigns, but they can buy crypto here. And the Trump family, run by Eric. Okay, so it's Donald's business, but Eric's running it. We're not involved. there is a transaction fee for every transaction. And they've made, reports will tell you, over $300 million. That's a problem. Like, I love laughing and I love the entertainment, and God, keep it coming. Keep those press conferences coming. But this is a serious problem because he's stripped down the SEC and the DOJ. They're loaded with cronies. There's no more, he's fired all of the solicitor generals who are supposed to keep an eye on all of our federal institutions. The Supreme Court passes a law that absconds like the president from federal prosecution. I mean, I just like, it's scary to me. Please just stop doing this stuff and be funny and keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just drives me nuts. All right.
Bill, let's quickly do Taylor Swift.
That's always brings a smile to my face.
Right. So they put out a statement, she's going to have to go to court. So basically she puts out this long statement, which we'll show you, but basically says, I had really nothing to do with this film except giving them a song. That's basically what she claims happened.
There's no collaboration. She said there's absolutely nothing.
Vehemently, she's very strong about this in the statement. Okay?
Yeah.
There's the full statement. She never set foot on the set. She was not involved in any casting. Nothing. Well, if you look back at the interviews that Blake did, here's one of them right now, which will show
poor
you.
Blake.
Blake says the exact opposite.
I'll
Steve
tell you what,
Roll.
Blake has been, many Blake bites have been unearthed to come back and bite her in the rear. This one's especially painful because it goes right to the heart of her friendship, dissolved friendship with Taylor Swift.
I mean, honestly, she was with me on this experience the whole time, all throughout it. So, like, she really lived this with me. Yeah, she was, she's a person who shows up for you, and I'm so grateful to have that love and that support. But yeah.
It's just, I love it. I mean, it's just it right there. I love this expression that the kiddos are rocking with these days. She shows up for you. Same thing happened with Meghan Markle sitting with the sycophant. The woman who was like, I'm literally tingling right now.
That was one of my favorite shows that we did, back and forth.
That was incredible. But that's the
right
it shows
now.
up for you. Rob, I just want to say, I love how you show up for me. Right. Steve, I love how you show up for me, man. You just show up. You're just that kind of friend, bro.
Jake in the back.
You show up. Jake,
Jake in the back.
Get the camera. Wave to me, Jake. Jake, that's our social media guy, Jake, right there. Jake, I love how you show up. Vinny, Skinny Vinny, don't eat anything back there. You got 2 days until the weigh-in. There's Jen. Jen, I love how you show up, Jen. I really do. You're just...
Everyone who shows up.
Kyle?
I like people who shows. Kyle, yeah, you definitely are showing up, bro.
Bill, what a show today. Hochman interview was wild.
Hochman interviewing. Will Arnett is such
he's definitive here, man. He's not bending at all.
I thought he got a little upset with me when he said...
it was one time.
In shows like these. I'm like, shows like this is just... Listen, I'm a guy that's just been around a long time who's finally gotten a pair to do it my way and have a conversation with you. I think there are a lot of people. I think one thing that Nathan Hochman, the Los Angeles County DA, there's a resentencing for the hearing for the Menendez brothers tomorrow. I really think that it's not just the Ryan Murphy series that has... gotten people's interest in the Menendez brothers, and then the new life on TikTok. I believe that there are a lot of people who, as kids, went through some type of sexual assault or molestation, and they've never been able to let it out because shame is so powerful, has such a grip on them. And I think those people tell their friends, and there's a passion, and that goes out there. It's not just from watching TV and thinking, I really do.
I'll tell you, he made it very clear who he doesn't like. Brian Friedman.
Doesn't like Friedman?
No, he made that quite clear.
I say, Nathan, if you were being railroaded out of your job and you were going to lose a whole bunch of money, would you hire Brian Friedman? I think we have our answer. The answer is absolutely. All right, Hot Mics, we're done today. Boy, we went at it. That was fun. Big special thanks to the DA, Nathan Hochman. And I like that he told us he's going to take those car chase people and throw them right in a slammer for a long period of time. And the great Will Arnett. Who's better than Will? What a voice. What a man. Hot Mics with Billy Bush is presented by our friends at LA Golf. Take your swing to the next level with LA Golf's cutting-edge technology. And remember, everyone at LA Golf, including me, says if someone gives you a putt, take the putt. Don't putt after that. Trump is absolutely correct on that. We'll see you Wednesday when we welcome Kelsey Grammer. See you later.